Jahiem White with some huge honors, gracing the cover of Athlon Sports and Lindy's, and he'll probably get more. And that sparked some conversation. Should Jahiem White be involved in the Heisman conversation? If you look at Rich Rodriguez's past, that's a resounding yes.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back in. It's a baseball afternoon, but before we get there, let's talk a little football, guys. What's up, guys? My name is Mountaineer Paul, and I'm going to be your host on this episode of Locked On West Virginia. Going to be brought to you by Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your very first purchase. So, congratulations to Jahiem White. Man, you know, he deserves it, absolutely, in my opinion. The hype, the love, everything that he's, getting from a guy that was overlooked coming out of high school. He was highly rated, don't get me wrong, but he was still overlooked. His talent shows that. And I think now with the right coaching, in my opinion, like I don't know this for a fact, but I think even he would say things are a little different now. And we're glad for that, right? So if you didn't know, he's on the cover of two separate magazines that I've seen today, Lindy's and Athlon, which are two nationally publicized magazines and really good magazines if you like that kind of thing. If you like the Big 12 preseason projections and rankings and talk like that, and some of them go even more in depth. Like I'm a Phil Steele guy myself. Like Phil Steele. So proud of Jahiem to get that, and so that sparked some talk amongst some people that I talked to, and we were talking about could Jahiem White be factoring into a dark horse Heisman role, because it's not the best quarterback year outside of Arch Manning. It's not the best superstar. You don't have a Travis Hunter this year, right? Like there's not a guy like that. There's not really a Caleb Williams. I think Arch is going to – he might be able to get into that and supplant himself there, I think, but it's going to take a huge year from him in Texas, which they're capable of for sure. So that could just put everybody else to dust. But if it gets a little muddy, I think a guy like Jahiem could sneak in there. And I'm going to give you my basis for that. So we're going to talk about that. West Virginia got a huge commitment today, by the way. At least I think it's a huge commitment. We're going to watch the tape, or at least the highlight clips of this player. So we can't forget about that. Obviously, that's also pretty big in my opinion. Jalen Jones, 6'2", 175-pound defensive back from Fresno City College in California. So that's a 2026 guy. We'll be looking at that as well. So let's get to it, man. I'm going to give you guys my reasons and reasons you should consider that Jahiem White could get into the Big 12 Player of the Year, the Offensive Player of the Year, and possibly Dark Horse Heisman role. So here are my reasons that I have written down here, typed out just for you and your enjoyment. So he has the potential to be a force in Rich Rodriguez's offense, right? The spread option scheme emphasizes the run game. We know that, but it's perfectly suited to what Jahiem White does. And he's got explosive speed and vision, right? We know that. He's a clear-cut number one back in the scheme for now. I would assume that he stays there unless injury or something like that happens. And he's probably going to see a significant increase in carries, which is hard to believe. He's not splitting the ball with CJ anymore. Now, there are guys in that room that could make a run at a number 2 spot and take carries away from Jahiem. But if Jahiem is playing like he's capable, there's nobody that's going to get any more than 7 or 8 carries a game outside of him, So you just go back to last year. Tre Stewart had 1,600 yards and 23 touchdowns last year. Now, that's an incredible year. You're in the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year conversation if you do that. Add a couple hundred more yards onto there, you're in the Heisman talk. So, I do think that the two are connected. Now, West Virginia has to win games too, and that's also where it gets a little muddy. I think you have to at least be in the Big 12 championship conversation, so maybe 8, 9. If West Virginia's at 10 wins and Jahiem White has a season like that, then you're solidified. But we're not going to sit here and predict that's going to happen on the win side yet. Will the offensive line be improved? Will it be worse? Will it be the same? And how are they going to, how are they going to execute Rich Rodriguez's fast-paced style? And could that fast-paced style amplify White's ability to break big plays? Yes, it can. We know that. The conditioning factor, we just talked about it yesterday on the show, right? We know for a fact that players are being worked harder conditioning-wise. There's a reason and the method to that madness. They want to be able to outwork teams in the fourth quarter. If you look at fourth quarters alone over Rich Rodriguez's career, running backs get almost 40% of their production in the fourth quarter under Rich Rodriguez. So talk about wearing teams down and doing numbers. So that's a big deal. I think if you look at what Tre Stewart was last year, Jahiem White is a very similar style of player. They both share similar physical traits. They're agile, elusive runners with a knack for evading tackles. And, they've got burst and enough speed to pull away from defenders and get big chunks of yardage. If you look at 2023, that freshman year where he averaged 7.7 yards per carry, 842 yards splitting carries. And then last year, unfortunately, there was a myriad of reasons why things didn't go well last year for everybody, not just Jahiem. But, I think he could mirror Stewart's production with more opportunities, especially coming his way. If you look at Rich Rodriguez from 01 to 07, he produced 1,000 yard rushers in 6 of 7 seasons, including Steve Slaton's 1,744 yards in 2006. At Arizona, Rodriguez coached Kadeem Carey to back-to-back 800-plus yard seasons. 1,800-yard-plus seasons. His Jacksonville State tenure saw consistent rushing success with Stewart the top 5 in the FBS and rushing offense in 2024. What about Noel Devine and his monster 2007 season just before Rich Rod's departure? What about Ole Miss? You guys see what Matt Corral did under his guidance as an offensive coordinator? Had a monster rushing year. So, like I said, as a true freshman, Jahiem had a great year, 842 yards, 4 touchdowns on 109 carries. He was an All-American freshman. Last year, similar year, 844 yards, 7 touchdowns on 148 carries. So, he recorded 7 100-yard games. He had a 204-yard, 2-touchdown performance against Cincinnati in 2023. He caught 24 passes for 247 yards and 3 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. And that's another thing in his game. The versatility he has in his game is very, very underrated. Jahiem White is a very good receiver out of the backfield. You can put him on angle routes. You can give him option routes. You can run wheel routes. You can do different things with him. You can even put him in the slot, and he can actually inside and outside release and run actual routes. Now, I'm not saying he's Rodney Gallagher, like he's not, but he can get out there and do it. And if he gets matched up on the wrong people, he can definitely shake him for big yardage. So I think, him being on the Athlon and Lindy signal, early national recognition, right? That's a big part of being in the Heisman talk. Most of the time, guys that are in the Heisman are being talked about for a long time. There's a slow burn that happens that continuously heats up as the season approaches, and especially as it's going on. So let's say he has a breakout season. I think you're going to have at least 1,500 plus yards and double-digit touchdowns to get into the Heisman early conversation. If you want to get into the mix, I think you've got to get 1,800 plus yards and approach 18-ish touchdowns. I do think he's capable of that. Health is going to be everything. Ability is not the question here. This is not the question here. So if Jahiem White's healthy and the offensive line, like, there's a bunch of ifs to this. Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's likely or unlikely, because at the end of the day, Rich Rod has a track record of producing Heisman caliber backs, right? So I think, just the system itself is in place. It wasn't in place before because Neil Brown wanted to throw the ball too, more so than Rich Rod. Rich Rod also will throw it. Don't get me wrong. It's just different. So I'm thinking for sure that Jahiem's going to have a great opportunity in front of him this year. I think he deserves it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Let me know down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that somebody else in that room could overtake Jahiem White? That would be interesting. You guys know Sincere Bowers is my number 2 back now. So now that he is signed up for 2025, I think he eventually will become the number 2 back in this offense. I don't know if it'll be, Ty Edwards is really good. We've got really good players. Obviously, Knighton's really good. If Sincere Bowers gets the opportunities to be, he's going to be an amazing player for us. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Jahiem White is going to be just such an awesome show to watch this year. And I'm excited for it. So best of luck to Jahiem. And I think he's capable, guys. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, we got another commitment today. It's been a while since we've had one of those. Let's talk about him next. Who is he? What's he all about? We'll talk about that next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Game Time. That's right. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs. Halliburton, what is he doing right now, man? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander putting on shows every single week. And look, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, fans are losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you experience live. You have to do that once if you're going to ever get a chance to try. And this year's matchups are already delivering. And if you want in, Game Time makes it easy and fast to get seats. And look, if for the biggest playoff games, prices on the app actually drop close to the kickoff, contrary to popular belief. And killer last-minute deals are where you can see those panoramic seat views with no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time is a total game changer. That's right. With Game Time's guarantee, you're going to get the best deal. And if you find a better price in the same row and section, they're going to credit you 110% of the difference. That's pretty cool. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply for this, but if you create your account, redeem the code LOCKED college for $20 off your first purchase, and download the Game Time app today, where you can get last-minute tickets at the lowest prices, guaranteed, and ask yourself the question of all questions. What time is it? It's game time. Segment 2. Let's crack open a do, guys, and let's get to this commitment, man. I'm excited. Got to see some early stuff on the kid, 1 or 2 plays. Looks rangy. I'm excited. Let me get a drink first. So, Jalen Jones is a player that it looks like they've honed in on for sure. So 6'2", 175-pound defensive back from Fresno City College in California, committed today. He's the first Juco prospect of the 26th class, and Gabe Franklin was the lead recruiter here. Let me follow him. If you haven't been following along, so this is a player with a ton of upside, guys. I've read a bunch about him today. I've looked into some things about him today. There are definitely some things to be excited about. So, what I thought we would do is I will read you some things about him for sure first, but then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and um, watch some tape because, as you guys know, that's where it's at, right? We gotta love watching the tape sessions, so we'll do that as well. So, last year, as a freshman, by the way, he first of all, length, speed, athleticism are the things that he brings to the table. Very under the radar prospect, from the JUCO levels, but his tape and stats, 5 interceptions on the year, really good. He had some other Power Four programs looking at him. You look at his 5 interceptions last year, really strong coverage grades, and a solid tackler. So, in this scheme that Zach Alley runs, he's a perfect type player to bring in for this. And it's no shock that West Virginia is actively targeting the secondary, and Jones being the first of potential several defensive back commits in 2026, as the program is hosting additional prospects in the coming weeks. It should bolster the speed and athleticism of that defensive backfield because it needs it. Um, I think given the roster turnover, this is a kid that I want to watch the tape first, but based on some of the stuff I saw, this is a kid that could come in and possibly compete for playing time next year, maybe even starting. So let's get over to the tape. I think that's the best way to do this. So I've got some here for you as we get there. And as you can see, here it is right here. We'll play this little intro first from him.
Mountaineer Field, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Jalen Jones. Nice. Like to see that. That's pretty cool. As you can see, he put "I'm home" right here. Here he is yesterday with his mother and a Purdue pullover. What's going on there, Mom? Why are you in a Purdue gear, Mom? I'm sure Rich Rod gave her some hell about that. But they probably just came from a Purdue visit, and she probably still had the gear on. Almost guaranteed, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to break really quick. And when we come back, we'll watch this tape. Stick around, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia. All right, guys. We are back here, Locked On West Virginia in segment 3. So I'm excited about this. As you know, I love watching tape with you guys. And Jalen Jones, what's he going to look like? What kind of player is he? So let's get here to the highlight tape as we get it pulled up.
So
just remember, guys, hit that like button, hit that
difficult?
subscription button. If you're new around here, we're really close to 5,000. And also drop a comment below and argue with me in the comments if you feel like I haven't had a great opinion today. So here he is in coverage. He's playing the deep safety, which is nice to see. We need a good deep safety. Okay, so he's following the quarterback, and the quarterback throws it late and across the middle. Pretty easy interception there. I mean, not easy, and it's easy in that the quarterback made it easy. It's not the actual interception wasn't easy. Here he is again playing deep safety. Could be the same play. Nope. Oh, nice job. Yeah, I like that. Now this is a nice. Watch him read the quarterback's eyes. This quarterback telegraphs this play all the way. He literally never looks another place ever. If you look at the entire play from this kid at quarterback, watch his eyes. His head snaps to the left over here, and that's where his eyes stay. So make sure this is – oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. I messed that up. Oh, there it is. So there – and you'll see his eyes will just stay right there. So let me get that turned all the way off. Snap the ball, 1, 2, 3-step drop, plants, and as you can see, he is already on it, undercutting this outbreaking route, play, and just really good speed to make up on and make ground up on the ball. Like, that's incredibly impressive. Oops, I went back too far again. Sorry. Very nicely done. Very good pick, and that's it's using his brain. Here he is. He's playing deep again. And the same quarterback. They look like Alabama, but it's not Alabama. Oh, it's the same play. Okay. Same play shown again. Then you never know when it's going to do that. Okay, here he is again against a different team this time. Very nice logo out on the field. So that's interesting. And we got a 3-step drop, pressure, and he just lofted one over there. But what an interception that was as far as from a difficulty of catching the ball. Nicely done. So as you can see here, back here, he's in his drop. This kid cuts. And here's the thing, too, I wonder about. So let me see something. So the receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if a quarterback actually lays it out there like it's supposed to be, I think this might be a catch, just being fair. I don't know how you guys feel. And maybe he still gets there in time. It's hard to say. It could have been bang, bang. But instead, he makes an incredible play on the ball. So that's nice. Here he is back here again. Looks like this guy's going to try to hit him on an inside post. Oh, what a play. Guys, holy cow, what a play. I mean, that's an incredible pick. Here we go again. As you see, this kid's trying to set him up. You see how that white arrow is kind of pointing out that way? That's funny because that's exactly what that receiver's trying to do with his body language. He's trying to lean this way so that he can cut this way, right? It's just human nature. And you see it all the time in receivers. Big tell. If you watch enough tape, you can find a receiver that will do this. You can see how he's trying to set him up by leaning a little bit to the left, right? So that, and some corners will fall for it too. So I understand why they do it to every now and again, but sometimes you need to change it up and actually go that way. And like, there's a lot of mental games that happen. I think maybe the casual fan doesn't think about often, but on this play, look at the safety, look at Jalen's body language. What does he look like he's doing? He's not biting for this body language. That's for sure. This right foot stuck in the ground, everything like he's about to cut out. He looks like he's reading this. You know why? Look what the quarterback's eyes are. He's in a position at the safety spot to read both the receiver and the quarterback, right? And if they don't match up, they don't match up. Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers are the only guys I know that throw no-look passes. Joe Burrow has a really good one, actually. But it's not like these Juco guys are throwing no-look passes like that. Some can. I can't. So very nicely. Just want to give you guys a picture as to this kid's smarts. And so you see here, and you can see it even more as he's got a little closer. Watch as he gets closer to Jalen, how he tries to set him up, and he just doesn't fall for it. Very important because it's not a bad route either. So it's actually not a bad route. Now, he does round it off just a touch, the receiver. If I were just going to couch potato, because I laugh at myself when I do this because I don't take myself too seriously. I realize that I'm just a regular guy doing this, but watched a lot of film, this receiver, if you watch, he rounds this route off just a bit, not a lot. If he would just cut straight across the field just a little, it would have helped his quarterback, and he maybe wouldn't have got cut off. But a nice play, man. Very nice play. Okay, here we got again. So he's played deep on all these plays. And that's the same play that we just watched. So I couldn't tell if he actually picked that one off or not. It looked like he did, but I saw the ball squirt out of there, so I'm not exactly sure. All right, so there's another one. It was just thrown right to him. But what did he do to make that happen? Anything? So Jalen is in his drop now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you lose picture of him. Okay, I see. So all this is just a really, really bad throw. I'm not going to give, Jalen's he's just where he's supposed to be, right? Like like on that one play, he almost ran out of his where he's supposed to be in zone coverage and went and made a play on the ball, which is great. And when you make them, when you blow coverage or you get hit for a touchdown doing that, then it's not so great. Not saying it's going to happen to him or anything. I'm just saying it does happen, right? Guys will leave their assignment and leave a guy wide open, thinking that the ball's going to a specific spot, and they get a play made on them. Jalen here, as you can see in his drop, just stays where he's supposed to be. And then this guy, his job is to let him go. He's covering his part of the field. So this guy looks open to the quarterback for a second, right? And if he makes the throw out here, then maybe you got something. Maybe. Instead, though, the ball is right here. Not good, especially when when I can see it and you're running past me. I've got the advantage. And so Jalen makes a nice pick on the ball here. Let's see what his speed looks like as he returns this thing. Okay, so he's got some wheels too. Nice to see that. And did you see he had a little his hips were flipping around there as he was running a little bit. Looks like he's got some experience. You can tell it's not his first time carrying the ball, which makes sense. I mean, a lot of these guys probably played skill positions in high school or whatever. Here he is close to the line of scrimmage. We haven't seen that yet. And a pretty nice tackle. Pretty nice tackle here. Here he is playing very close to the line of scrimmage again. Nice tackle. Very good form too. If you look at where his head was, guys, on this tackle, look where his head ended up, now. So coaches will probably try to teach you to put your head on the other side of his body so that it can hit that ball. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you're really nitpicking. He makes the play on the ball, but and his head's on at least his head is in the strike zone in the right place. His face mask is up and all that, but you would like to see his head get on the other side. The only little critique you can make, but nicely done. Where is he at here? It's him right here. Yeah, it's over here. Okay. So running across the field, breaks down into the hole and makes a nice play on the ball. Nicely done. Pretty good size hit too he put on the guy. Here he is again in the run game, coming up for support. Nice tackle. You'll take that for sure. So he's got the ability to do both. That's what he's showcasing here. Here he is very deep off the ball. I'd say he's 9 yards off the ball here. So playing 9 yards off, what's he going to do? Okay, he's in coverage. I'm not exactly sure why this play was on the reel. Am I missing something? No offense to anybody here, but was he 24? Did I miss it? Am I tripping here? Did I look at the wrong person? This is not him. It's not him, is it? I don't know, guys, on that one, because I thought it circled this guy, but maybe it circled him. I don't know exactly what happened. I guess I thought he was number 22. Here he is on an interception. It says, yeah, he's 22 right here. So I'm not sure what that was. Maybe it was just an accident put in there. Oh, wow. Whoa, he really ran that thing down, didn't he? So here, this is what I like to see right here, on a play like this where you've got a guy, they play a lot of zone coverage. If you can't tell, like, that's because they had good safeties. So they're in zone, they're doing their drop. And so if you look right here, watch his hips. Watch how he flips his hips when the receiver makes that cut. Pay attention to how quickly he gets them flipped and his footwork while he's doing it. When you're evaluating defensive backs, hips are very important. Flipping hips are very important. And what do I mean by flipping hips? When a defensive back, so they have a drill they'll do where they take the ball, right? Up is straight back. Left is or left would be your right, right? If I'm holding the ball and I'm directing you and you're you're dropping backwards and forwards or whatever. If I hold the ball up, you got to drop backwards. If I point the ball left, you've got to go right. If I point the ball right, you've got to go left because it's your right and your left. And so that's a good drill to see how players flip their hips. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll and try to make them spontaneously do this, and then they'll run and they'll pick off a ball. So, it's a great drill, but what you can see out of that drill is the hips. How well do they flip their hips, right? Because that's one of the most important things about a defensive back is how quickly can you perform that? It seems simple, but it's really not. It takes coordination, it takes some flexibility. Actually, it takes some core strength, and it takes some footwork, right? And it also takes some explosion because you got to be able to flip and get out and get on your gate. And he does a really good job of that here. Boom, right? Hips are flipped, stays in phase with the receiver, and then the ball's overthrown, and he gets downfield and makes a great play on the ball. Perfectly done. Can't ask any more. Here he is again. Not exactly sure. I'm guessing they're just showing him doing his job on a lot of these plays, like, because even consistently just doing what you're supposed to do, even if it's not your play on the ball, has some value to coaches for sure. If they know what defense you're supposed to be in, they can evaluate it the entire thing. Were you 5 yards off where you were supposed to be? Were you on the wrong hash? Whatever. So I'm assuming that here's what they're trying to show here, guys. So this is probably everybody's did good here, but specifically him, right? The main play, it looks like, was drawn up for this tight end here. So, it's his and his teammates. It's their fault in a good way that the ball, basically the quarterback had nowhere to go with the ball. So it's showing here, if you're looking at this tape wondering what the heck, it's basically showing that they did they're basically causing this almost a coverage sack. I think he has to throw the ball away, but best case scenario, you have to get what's called a coverage sack, right? There's nowhere to go with the ball, and there wasn't anywhere to go with it. So that's nicely done. This might be the reverse image of that. We'll see. Looks like it could be. Nope. No, I'm not sure. But looks like we may be out of some of the bigger plays here. Oh, nicely done. Oh, yeah. So there's a good play too. So, what I like to see is how quickly do you explode out of a stance, right? Watch how quickly he explodes out of this and gets to that running back. Boom, right? And he's out of there and he makes a play. That's quickness. You got to have that. So here he is up here. He's playing in phase with this receiver here as he gets down the field. Nicely done, man. If you're looking at what he did his job that play. So we'll watch one more. Here he is right here. And a great play on the ball there too. So we'll go back and watch that one more time, which it may have shown the reverse image of that, but I can see what there's a lot of upside here for sure. No doubt. This kid's got some talent. Nicely done. So, Jalen Jones. I'm a fan of Jalen Jones. I'll be watching for him, guys. Don't be surprised if I show you this again in the future. I liked that tape. I liked breaking it down. There was a lot to look at. Oh, wrong one. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Not a whole lot else to talk about. The baseball game's coming on today, obviously. So we will be reacting to that, especially if we win. And I'm excited to see what happens. I think Jack Hartsonis has the stuff to do well. So thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Check out the Portal Report next. Brian Smith does an amazing job on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. And I'll see you then. Have a good one. And go Mountaineers.